At an airfield in Breslau, now Rocklau in Silesia, the 77th Luftwaffe fighter wing is ready for combat. 27-year-old Hannes Trautloff is one of its captains. The Messerschmitt 109 fighters are the pride of the German Air Force. Designed by engineer Willy Messerschmitt, the trim one-seaters have already proven their mettle in the Spanish Civil War. For 2 years, Captain Trautloff was on active duty with the Condor Legion in Spain and has 5 kills to his record. Now he can share his combat experience with other pilots. The Ace of Hearts squadron from Breslau is one of the first to see action in the invasion of Poland. The German unit's superiority to Poland's air force is overwhelming.
Youth Führer Baldur von Schirach is visiting Hitler at the Führer's Obersalzberg chalet. Plans for the so-called White Case, the war against Poland, are almost complete. The surprise attack is to commence no later than September 1st. The dictator wants to avoid an official mobilization, so reserve units are being called up for fall exercises.
In early June 1939, the German police track and field championships are staged in Frankfurt an der Oder. Since 1936, SS Director Heinrich Himmler has also been head of the police force. His deputy, Commander Kurt Daluga, is attending the games at Ostmark Stadium on his superior's behalf to witness the officers' athletic prowess. During the course of the war, police battalions under Daluga's direct command will distinguish themselves by their utter ruthlessness in executing partisans and murdering Jewish civilians. Hand grenade throwing contests are among the game's highlights. The winner is a Herr Wagner from Cologne with a distance of 260 feet.
On the other side of the Atlantic, the last major international event before the outbreak of war is being held, the 1939 World's Fair in New York. The fair attracts flocks of visitors and a particularly regal couple in early June. King George VI of England and Queen Elizabeth are paying an official visit to the United States and stop in New York for a courtesy call. The scandal of the King's older brother Edward VIII relinquishing his claim to the British throne 3 years earlier for an American divorcee seems all but forgotten. The monarchy pays a gracious tribute to the New World, and New York society is captivated by their splendor.
The royal couple's visit is politically explosive as well. The ceremonial laying of a wreath at George Washington's tomb is not a mere symbol of recognition for the former colony. It also demonstrates solidarity with the American allies. Shortly before, US President Franklin D. Roosevelt had angered the German dictator with a telegram. Hitler, Roosevelt demanded, should refrain from attacks on European countries for the next 25 years. The royal visit to the United States underscores England's full agreement with these demands. The lines are drawn.
It's early morning in the small community of Hellbra. As they do every year, contingents of workers from the German Labour Front are gathering for the harvest. But this summer, everything is different. Europeans have begun to realize that peace is dangling on the thinnest of threads. Some Germans still believe that Hitler can achieve his political objectives without bloodshed, but many others are worried. Fear of an imminent conflict is rife. Memories of the horrors of World War I are only too vivid in people's minds.
The battleship Gneisenau is moored in the port of Kiel. In service only since 1938, the flagship of the rearmed German Navy is slated for an overhaul. A new so-called Atlantic prow is due to greatly improve the vessel's seaworthiness. Before long, the Gneisenau and her sister ship, the Scharnhorst, will be attacking British convoys in the northern Atlantic.
Despite the preparations for war, life at Hitler's Berghof continues as before. In mid-August 1939, the dictator summons his courtiers. Foreign Minister Joachim von Ribbentrop is among his closest advisors. The two men are playing a risky game. Ribbentrop is to sign a non-aggression pact with Stalin in Moscow in order to rule out the risk of a potentially disastrous war on two fronts.
A Nazi summer vacation program on the island of Sylt. Hitler youth boys and girls attend the morning's flag-raising ceremony. A deceptive silence reigns throughout the Third Reich. Things almost appear normal. But the impending clash of arms rivets public attention. An internal memorandum notes that confidence in the Führer may well now be put to the acid test. Everyone is against the war, the American reporter William Shirer writes in his diary. How can a country go into a major war with a population so dead set against it?
The campaign against Poland begins on September the 1st. Within a month, Wehrmacht units have overrun the western part of the country. Hitler divides the spoils with his Soviet allies. Stalin's Red Army occupies eastern Poland. By the start of October, the fighting is already over. A German tank reserve unit. For lack of enemy contact, it's conducting exercises in occupied Poland. The troops mustn't succumb to boredom after this easy victory. After all, Poland will not be the only target of Hitler's blitzkrieg strategy.
Two days after the German invasion of Poland, Great Britain and France declare war against the Third Reich and begin mobilizing their troops. An American businessman staying on the Channel Island of Guernsey films British soldiers leaving for the front with his small camera.
An air raid warning in the streets of Paris. Fearful of German air attacks, the residents practice using gas masks and making their way to air raid shelters. The whole of Europe is in a state of emergency. But few can foresee how long this war will last and how many millions of human beings will lose their lives out on the battlefields and in the bomb-ravaged cities. The American journalist Janet Flanner writes on that fateful day, September the 3rd, "It's these geographic elements as well as the time now being taken by diplomats which make this seem an unnatural war. In point of fact, it's really a commonplace war, since it's simply a fight for liberty. It's only because of its potential size that it may, alas, prove to be civilization's ruin."